we'll talk to you more another time, but we want you to concentrate on three things that have been brought to our attention a lot in the past couple of days. One is speed. That in many of your activities, you approach them as if they are an activity that unconsciously you approach them that this is an activity that can fill part of my day, rather than with the attitude of how quickly can this task be accomplished without doing it sloppily. And members at the next level approach every task they're doing on how quickly can I do this task and have it done with without jeopardizing it. And so we want you to concentrate on speed. That's one thing. Another thing we want you to concentrate on is hypocrisy, because some of you are unconsciously hypocrites. For example, Dee and I have come to next door when members of this craft did not know we were in that craft, and we would call on the caller. And your whole tone of voice, this is not just one or two people, but several people, your tone of voice was very down. And it's like when we speak to you, you put on your better face. But when we're not around and you don't know that we're here, you think it's somebody else going to pick up that caller over there. Like one said their name, and it was just like, let's say their name was Coyote, and they said, Coyote. You know, then two or three people. It was very down, the tone of their voice. There was no life, there was no vitality, there was certainly no quickness and vibrancy. So in our minds, that's hypocrisy. Because you wouldn't have spoken that way had you known Lynx was on the other end.
They changed their tune when they found.
That's right. The moment they heard it was Lynx, then it was, they came to life and tried to, well, isn't that being a bit dishonest? That's like, you're seeing me in a way that I am when you're not around. But now that I know it's you, I want to be my best.
And you're treating us differently than you do your classmates, which we don't want you to do.
So number two thing to concentrate on is hypocrisy. Be alive and vital and vibrant and positive, alert all the time. Certainly don't be one way with your classmates and another way with your teacher. The third thing we want you to concentrate on is reasoning. Some of you, you can think, well, I thought that what Lynx taught us was to swap reasoning for instructions. And that's true. But instructions, accumulated instructions, let's say that again, accumulated instructions yields reasoning. Now, you get so bogged down in particular instructions of the little detailed nature that you lose the scope of the greater instructions and of the reasoning of how to approach those instructions. It's like if you're doing this and it's coordinate instruction, you're doing this in coordinate instruction, you're doing this in coordinate instruction, then can you back off and see those things that you're doing and see what's wrong with them according to instructions? Or are you so down into the little detail of those that you don't see the picture and perform with accumulated reason? You follow that? Can Can you get a picture there? We've seen again and again and again that your effort for following instructions has no instruction for overall. For example, let's say it's instruction to go into the lab and do so-and-so. I'm working on HP's instruction. Somebody has to go do cell instruction. Somebody has to clean up the tools from first experiment. Next thing you know, there are 22 people in the lab. What happened to reason? Well, it's pretty obvious that I'm exaggerating. There aren't 22 people in the lab, but there were too many people in the lab at one time. At an instance I'm referring to, when you could not successfully do any of those things because there were so many people in the lab. So it means your strategy had no overall picture of reason to it. Or you wouldn't have found yourself suddenly so elbow to elbow in there realizing that you're not getting things done. Now, examine if there aren't many things during the day that you do where you're so into the little particular details of instructions that you forget the overall picture of reasoning of, is this a way to apply this instruction at this particular circumstance, considering all the things that I'm considering at this moment? That's applying reasoning. Do you follow what we're saying? Because many times you're trying to apply an instruction and find yourself in a kink of where it isn't working. And that's because you have no overview. We've given you also hundreds of instructions for this overview picture of application. But they go more lost. Those instructions go more lost than many of the little particular ones that are much less important as far as priority or value is concerned. So examine reason. So once more, three things to think about. Speed. Do your task and do anything that you're doing. Anything, whether it's your path or whatever it is, do it as quickly as you can do it and do it right and get it out of the way. Don't lock in on, here's a task that I can burn up half a day with, or maybe at least an hour. Or you don't do that consciously, but unconsciously. We've seen class member after class member the last couple of days approaching something in a very lazy, appearing to be lazy way, or slow way. But with no idea of how quickly can I understand what it is you want me to do, and how quickly can I do it, and get into it, and get it over with. That's the way, okay? And number two is stay alive and alert, and don't be hypocritical about that. Don't act one way with your classmates, another way with your teachers. And number three is concentrate on next level reason, which comes from an accumulation of applied instructions and looking at them with also the instructions that would apply to the overall